So some mortuaries don't have an X-ray machine. Some mortuaries look dreadful. I mean, so it's not equal. It's not distributive justice. But look, just to expound upon this, if I may.
Yes, please.
So the public doesn't know this, but 5 or 6 of the world's biggest campaigns were actually started by forensic pathologists. May I share?
Yes, share, please.
So there's the Back to Sleep campaign. Do you know what that is?
No?
So it was forensic pathologists that worked out that if you put a baby to bed on their back, they do better than if you put your baby to bed on its face down. Because of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Trust me on this. If you have a baby, put it to sleep on its back.
Okay.
Trust me on
Safest.
this. Have you got this?
Yes. Put your baby on the back.
Back to Sleep campaign.
Yes.
Yeah. On the back.
Yeah.
They do better than face down. The second big campaign would be, look, I'm going to say the When Thunder Roars, Go Indoors campaign. When thunder roars, go indoors with lightning. You're safer indoors than outdoors.
Yes.
That's forensic pathologists that came up with that campaign. The tobacco campaign was started by forensic pathologists. Smoking and how dangerous smoking is, from the autopsy table backwards. Smoking was, and how dangerous it is, was diagnosed by forensic pathologists.
And this includes vaping.
Vaping, no one talks about vaping, but there's conditions such as EVALI. Do you know what EVALI is?
No.
It's e-cigarette and vape-induced lung injury.
Okay.
EVALI, not EGOLI like the
Yeah.
TV program. EVALI.
Yes.
E-cigarette and vape-induced lung injury. We've had deaths from vaping. People don't know how dangerous vaping is. But anyway, just to get back to my train of thought here. A lot of the HIV/AIDS stuff came from the autopsy table. We discovered how it affects the immune system and some of the diseases as a consequence of HIV/AIDS. A lot of the vaccination and immunization stuff came from the autopsy table. And yeah, we do so much stuff. Like there was this forensic pathologist by the name of Gary Simmons. Like the public does not know this. But in 1992, he did an autopsy on a 26-month-old female that accidentally got her neck stuck between the car window and the frame of the car and got strangulated and died. And Gary Simmons wrote this up, thereby highlighting the public health hazard of electric power car windows. Nowadays, power car windows have a cutout mechanism if a body part gets stuck between the window and the car. So that's forensic pathologist for you.
Sure.
Crazy, eh?
The other question, this is very important, and a lot of people ask outside that's in this position at the moment, is why do they take that long with autopsy reports, especially when it's in court, toxicology reports? Is it the process? Is it because a lack of resources? Why does it take that long, for a case to receive autopsy report?
Okay, that is a very fair question. And I'm just going to answer it by saying that you get like any reaction is limited by its slowest part. So any reaction, whether a chemical reaction, whatever, is limited by the slowest part in the reaction. Remember, there are many moving parts to a forensic examination. There's histology, there's toxicology, there's the courts, there's everything. So that's why I always advocate a SWOT analysis, which is a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, audit of a system to find out where the bottlenecks are. And we are critically looking at this at the moment because, there are from engineering, there's a thing called Lean Six Sigma. Have you heard of that?
No.
LSS?
No.
So Lean Six Sigma makes systems leaner and prevents wastage, and it gets things more optimized. And also we live in a day and age now with increased digitalization, increased modernization, robotics, AI. There's so much opportunities now. We've got vertopsy. So I think it's time. I mean, the autopsy is medieval if you think about it. Nothing's really changed in the last several hundred years. And I think it's time now for this entire process to be streamlined and updated. So we're in the midst of all of this at the moment. But I'm happy that that people are starting to make a noise.
Yes.
Because actually the system needs some pressure.
Yeah. And create the awareness.
Yes.
You say that you want to invite people of the public to say, this is the facility, it's not what you used to, what you normally see on TV. What kind of person will it take, to be a proper pathologist? What
Okay.
traits should they have?
All right, so for this, I'm also going to answer by metaphorical means,
Yes.
if I may, because, I'm a simple man.
Of course, yeah.
I'm just working a mortuary.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like any industry, we're no different. May I use a ship captain as a metaphor?
You can.
So, to become a ship captain, you need 5 things. Number 1, you need to study at the feet of a good captain. A captain that has sailed the 7 seas. One that got his degree at a proper institution, not a lucky packet.
Yes, yes.
A proper captain. Number 2, you need a good ship. Not a ship that has been plucked together with
Yeah.
duct tape and cable ties. You need a seaworthy vessel that can sail the 7 seas.
Yeah.
Number 3, you need to know where you're sailing. You cannot sail around the harbor and call yourself a captain.
A captain, yeah.
Yeah, there are people that do that.
Yes, no, definitely.
You know this?
Yeah, yeah.
Number 4, what do you think the 4th is? A good crew.
Yes, people around you.
Good crew. You need good technical assistants, people that are skilled, that know what to do on the ship. Because if you don't, what are you going to have? Mutiny. And then that whole ship will sink. Am I right?
Yeah.
And number 5, no one ever gets number 5. I'm going to let you think about this. The 5th thing, to be a good ship captain,
Compassion.
that's given.
No, I don't.
No one ever thinks of this. So you're
Yeah.
in good company. Lighthouses.
Ah,
Lighthouses.
Yeah.
You need people and institutions that know where the dangerous reefs are. If you don't know where the dangerous reefs are, you're going to end up shipwrecked on the shoals of life.
Mm.
So we need our ancillary professions and people that can point out this is dangerous, this is dangerous. Just warning lights, stay on this path, don't go here. So we need our lighthouses. And I'll leave that to the viewers to think, what are the lighthouses in life? Is that a good enough answer
That's
for you?
an exceptionally well answer. Tell us, and this is, I think, a question everybody's got. Did anybody ever woke up while you were busy on their way here in your 23 years of practice,
Okay, 26 years.
26 years of practice?
So look, it happens from time to time, unfortunately, because death is a great mimic. Death is actually a very difficult thing to diagnose. We've been fooled badly. I mean, you think someone's dead and they may not be dead. So some of the things that can mimic or fool you is hypothermia.
Mm-hmm.
So we always say you're not dead until you're warm and dead. We've had people that are hypothermic with a central core temperature of 25. You will think they are dead, but they're not dead. Just warm them up and they're alive. Certain drugs, such as barbiturates, etc., can fake death. You can have a death mimic. And I mean, if you look back in history, there are cases like on the inside of coffins, when you open it up, you see scratch marks.
Yeah.
And there's cases, where the name graveyard shift came from?
Yes, the bell, hey?
The bell.
Yeah, where they put the
People used to request that you cut your wrists and stuff. But there have been cases where bodies have been scooped up on scenes and wake up in mortuaries. We even had it in America once or twice where, I was quoted in the New York Times because, someone woke up in a mortuary there. But it happens. I mean, and that's why to diagnose death, you actually need not only ECG, but sometimes EEG.
Yeah.
To make certain that there's no brain waves. But it can fool you. We've got certain tests, so like you'll inject cold water into the ear. It's called the oculocaloric test. So if you inject cold water into the ear, the eyes nystagmus, they dart. Whereas if you have wax in your ear, you can inject all you want and your eyes won't dart. So
Okay.
this can fool you.
Yeah.
So you've got to make certain there's no wax in the ears. So there's many things, and we train our doctors to try and pick up what is death.
Okay.
It's a tough diagnosis, actually. It's not as simple as you think.
So anything like that ever happened to you? Do you?
Luckily, not on my watch.
Okay.
Luckily,
What would you do if it happens?
I would need a holiday because my skills
Run.
are dropping.
Okay, no, that's understandable. That's understandable. Okay. So obviously we are in a very controlled environment. What are the risks, even as we sit here, what are the risks involved?
All right, so the occupational health and safety aspects of our job is quite extreme. There's infectious risks, there's mechanical risks, there's psychological risks, constant exposure
Yes.
to death and dying.
Yeah.
And then there's miscellaneous risks, like you never know what's inside a body. You know, it's by the grace of God that you go inside a body. You can find anything inside a body. Our biggest risk from an infection point of view is actually tuberculosis. So in my 26 years as a forensic pathologist, I've lost 2 colleagues to TB, and I've had 2 colleagues come down with tuberculosis, one of the spine, one of the bladder. TB in the dead is actually more infectious than TB in the living. They looked at autopsy cases, and they looked at respiratory physicians, and pathologists actually got more infected than respiratory physicians. And you won't believe this, but the guy that invented the stethoscope died of TB. The guy that invented histology died of TB. My favorite author, D.H. Lawrence, died of TB. Yeah, TB is our biggest risk. You know, TB or not TB, that is the question. So we see a lot of it here in South Africa. But also, as I said, there's mechanical risks, psychological risks. There's radioactive risks. You know, someone could have radioactive beads around their thyroid or around their prostate, which is how we treat cancer. And now you go and do an autopsy and you irradiate it with radiation. And also, some people have like an electrocardio defibrillator inside of them. Like if their heart ever stops, it just gives a shock. And if you put your hand into their body, you can get a shock. And then there's sharp objects inside bodies. And remember, HIV/AIDS lives for 16.5 days after death. So sometimes you can go in and there's like a greenfield filter in the inferior vena cava, which is this cage to stop clots going to your heart, that can prick through your gloves and you can get HIV/AIDS. Sometimes the gloves are of poor quality. There may be a hole in the glove and you're doing your autopsy. Meanwhile, your hands are being bathed in fluids and you may have open cuts or wounds that are being bathed in these fluids. So the risks are quite extreme.
A very interesting question I think that I have personally is, what is your take on COVID? You don't need to answer, but what's your take?
I will say next on that because,
Okay,
look,
okay.
all I can say is what I said in my book. Look, we were essential workers at the time.
Yes.
And I just saw 5 things in my practice at the time. So I'm not going to discuss COVID per se, but I'll discuss the situation.
The whole situation, yes.
So I saw, there was an increase in suicides. There was an increase in interpersonal violence. As we were coming in and out of the waves, we were seeing increased motor vehicle accidents. People forgot how to drive. The lonely people of society, the wallflowers, the introverts, the cripples, the people with disabilities, people that were living alone. We were finding them dead in their flats or apartments. No one checked up on them. So I was finding them decomposed in skeletons. That got to me. And addicts, people that couldn't get their fixes, whether it's cigarettes or alcohol or drugs, were trying to make their own. So we were seeing an increase in addict-related deaths. So just the situation around it, we started seeing interesting trends in society.
Okay. If you want, as a pathologist, if you want the audience to make a noise regarding the pathology field, what do you think should happen and what should the noise be?
Look, a society is only as civilized as its forensic pathology service.
Yes.
And I'm thrilled about shows such as your own and CSR, etc., because it creates awareness. We know what the gold standard can be. So we have to keep, lobbying and doing, keeping it in the media.
Yeah.
Because, one last thing I'm just going to say. It's always about the aggressor, never the victim. So, for example, all the cases, look, it's the government against the murderer.
Yeah.
So the case will always be known as, the O.J. Simpson case. Never the victims.
The victims, yeah.
Or it will be, it's always named against the aggressor, never the victim. So victims disappear in history, and these victims need a voice. So you can think of any of the major cases throughout history. It's always named after the aggressor.
Aggressor, that's
never
so true.
after the victim.
Yeah.
And these people die quiet, silent lives, and it is our duty to give a voice to these victims. This I think is a very important message which I'd like to drive home.
Yeah.
We cannot forget the victims.
So the louder the noise, the better, and you want a case to be mentioned rather after the victim and not the... And we do that mistake because it's the ones that's in jail at the moment that we call, when do we see the Ruan case again? But it's actually Brendan Pretorius that passed away. So we should constantly make sure that people know about.
Well,
It's
I
Brendan Pretorius. He was the victim.
I mean, I know this will sound controversial, but it's always the Oscar Pistorius case and never the Reeva
Yes, yes.
case.
Yeah, that's
You know,
so true.
This affects me.
Yeah.
I just want to have more voice for the victims. And you can think of any case. I mean, look at all the serial killers of all time. It's always the serial killer. You know, the Charles Manson case.
Yeah.
You know, never the Sharon Tate case. Or, you know, so this is a big thing. We need to, look, obviously sometimes the victims want, because of sensitivity and anonymity, but we must never forget the victims.
You don't need to mention names, but have you ever worked on a celebrity?
Look, as I said earlier, we don't trend.
Yes.
So, I mean, we've worked on presidents, we've worked on high-profile cases, etc. But to us, we do
But it's not a
everything
trend.
the same.
Yes.
We just work slower.
Okay.
We don't trend in our field.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This is very, I think, obviously educational for the viewers, and it's most people that like murder mysteries and, you know, how does it work? And I think we have everything that we need. I'll ask Ronel to do the second part of it, and then. But thank you so much for your time. It's great to know that we have such people, you know, in key positions when it's our time to lie here, and that we'll get answers. And we'll definitely see you soon again.
It's been an honor. Thank you for your time.